On Friday, we had Dr. William Pickard on Thursday on the show discussing his new book, Millionaire Moves, 7 Principles of Entrepreneurship. The conversation was so good. We continue to talk after the show about the importance of ownership and why we should grow our businesses beyond one employee. Here's part 2 of that conversation.
If we really want to employ black folks, it's going to require black people to have businesses that can employ black people. Historically, in 1900, most black people were self-employed. I'm going to repeat that. In 1900, most black people were self-employed.
One, we had no choice.
We were farmers.
Yeah, we were denied entry to many sectors.
Exactly. But out of that, today, I think you're correct. We have to create capacity. And more and more I'm very happy to say, I'm seeing a lot of new business people recognize that 1 + 1 can make 3. We see a lot of that in Detroit. Most of my companies, I am the majority owner, but I always have other people involved in ownership capacity.
Now, I want to pick up on that. I want to bring up Pamela in a second as well, because his also was very interesting. For a long time, it was this whole attitude of majority ownership, because many of the rules were written in terms of NWB programs. It had to be 51% owned. But you look at Jeff Bezos, multiple billionaire, only owns 25%, if you will, of Amazon, granted publicly traded company. You look at what Magic Johnson is doing. People go, oh, Magic owns this, this, this. No, Magic is largely the controlling shareholder.
Correct.
So for the people at home, explain to be the controlling shareholder versus the majority shareholder.
Majority, in most cases, mean 51. Controlling could mean 12, 7, 9. And there is a concept called supermajority. So it could mean that you could own 60% of the company, but the bylaws could say supermajority is 85%. So there are all kinds of ways to structure these companies, but I would suggest it is extremely difficult for one person to own everything and put together a team that's going to help she or he build a multi-hundred-million-dollar franchise.
You talked a little bit about the value of black communities working together with each other. What is your position on co-ops and how useful they can be for black business ownership?
Well, again, if you look historically, we have been involved in co-ops. Some of the early examples of black banks were just that. They were co-ops. But again, you must evolve into what I would call a for-profit enterprise, and you must evolve in a business-like manner that gives you a chance to create scale. Scale is very, very important.
In creating scale, could you just talk a little bit about the transfer of wealth, and in terms of young people just wanting to do their own thing these days versus picking up where their parents have left off and continuing to build?
Well, I'm very happy to say that in the McDonald's world, we have a program called Second Generation. And Roland, we have over 100 young black men and women who are now involved in a program with McDonald's, official stamp of being ready for what we call second generation. And we also have that, Roland, with the Black Hotelers of America. So we're finally getting traction that people can now see that owning a McDonald's restaurant is a business and not just a guy with a red hat on like when I started. And we now have people owning 30, 40, 50 McDonald's, and that gives you a scale. My companies, we employ about 3,100 people from all over America, including Canada. That gives us scale. I hope my daughter's listening to this. You have to work in the business eventually.
Now, let me pick up on that, because we know each other when I ran the Chicago Defender. And when Robert Abbott founded the Chicago Defender, and when Robert Abbott, what he did was he tapped his nephew, John Sinstack, said, I'm gonna train you to run the business. And Abbott turns it over to him, Abbott dies, Sinstack runs the business. Sinstack, bad health, all issues there, then all of a sudden he dies, the business is just in total disarray. And Sinstack, great publisher. But the thing that I keep telling people is you have to prepare your business for the day when you go on to glory. And if it means that your son or daughter or children not prepared or grandchildren prepared, it is a complete waste to have a legitimate business and you don't sell it or position or somebody else to take it over. And we are seeing significant black businesses where one generation, maybe two, where they had scale, they were successful, and then a child or grandchild goes, I'm not interested in that, and then folks, and it just dies, and it's like, you just let it go to waste. Just talk about that, preparing for that day.
But again, Roland, unfortunately, if you look at our churches, which has been one of the mainstays of our community, there's no succession planning except the pastor says, my son or my daughter is going to take over. But in today's world, if a Bill Pickard or anyone in business doesn't prepare for that plane accident to get hit by a truck, you've been a failure to your family and your community. For an example, I'm now chairman of my company. The CEO is a young man that's been with me 31 years. Now, chairman means a lot of things, including majority ownership. So, but you have to have a succession plan. You have to have some key people insurance so that you can plan for what will and shall happen.
So I have a question. I was reading a book a couple of weeks ago from an author who wrote a column in The Economist talking about the workspace and how it's changing. People aren't working 40-hour-a-week jobs anymore, particularly people my age. What does that mean for entrepreneurship when people aren't going to the traditional 9-to-5 jobs anymore? So now they're doing a plethora of different things.
Mm-hmm. It's called hustling. It's called Uber. And that's the new world of work. You will not walk into a company at 24 and remain until you're 64. Those days are gone. They're long gone. You will become serial entrepreneur and you will become a serial employee. But my thing is very simple, Roland. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work for somebody until you die.
Now, I would let that be the last one, and I'm tempted to do so, but I got this. But this is the last question. This is not targeted to millennials, because I said this as a Gen Xer. I said it to my fellow peers then. I said it to Gen Y. I don't care who it is. If there's one thing that is driving me crazy today, is when I meet people who believe, oh, well, because I read about it for 2 or 3 months, or I interned doing it, oh, I got it, I'm good, now I can run it. The lack of skill set development is utterly stunning to me, and I keep telling people, trust me, you are going to fail if you do not develop a skill set that can take you through, and you don't get it in 3 months.
Sad but true. It just doesn't happen overnight. You can't take a pill. In my opinion, you can't take a class. You got to put in the work. And I go to Drake all the time on my lecture circuit. Drake says, if you work hard, if you work very, very hard, one day your idol will become your friendly rival. You must put the work in. That's Drake.
Bill Pickard quote Drake. Bill, how old are you?
Oh,
Say that.
Oh, I thought you. How old about Drake?
Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 76.
Right. Bill Pickard, 76, quoting Drake. All right, y'all. Millionaire Moves, 7 Proven Principles of Entrepreneurship by Bill Pickard. Be sure to pick the book up. Bill, thanks a bunch.
Thanks, guys.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh, my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong. He
Unfiltered.
wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.